Wow, breaking news. Anthony Joshua's opponent, Jarrell Big Baby Miller, has an adverse finding. He has tested positive for something. What up, Fight World? It's your boy Ego, and I'm back with some more boxing. Make sure you smash the like button. Also, subscribe to the channel for the latest and greatest in boxing. You know, I'm not even going to bore y'all with the intro. You guys clicked on the video. This is breaking news. So, you know, ESPN, they're the first people that I seen that reported this. Now confirmed by Eddie Hearns 34 minutes ago. So ESPN, shout out to them. They were on it. They were the first people. I think it was Dan Rayfield was the first person I seen to report this. And now you see it. Eddie Hearns. This is his verified page. You guys see right there. And Eddie Hearns confirming. We have been informed by VADA that there has been an adverse finding in Jarrell Miller's sample collected on March 20th. 2019. We are working with all the relevant parties and we'll update with more details soon. AJ's preparation continues for June 1st at Madison Square Garden. So he's gonna still fight regardless. You know, the venue's already rented and booked and tickets have been sold. You know, this is Mike Coppinger with Ring TV. He works with PBC too. New York Commission is strict too. Might be time to give Dillian White the rematch he deserves and been calling for. You know, and I'm gonna give my own thoughts on that. Even Devin Haney said, "Damn, Big Baby." Wow. And Mike Coppinger also spoke to Eddie Hearns, who said the plan is to definitely for Joshua to defend heavyweight champion on June 1st, as planned in Madison Square Garden. If Jarrell Miller isn't cleared to fight following the adverse finding, a new opponent will be sought after for that date. This is terrible news, people. This is bad. This is bad business. Bad news. I shout out to Ego's Army. You guys been holding me down. I was at Sam's Club and running around. I was at Home Depot, and you know, look, people, everybody's sending me it now. From moment to moment. Thank you. Breaking, according to ESPN. Yeah, ESPN was the first one that I seen that covered it. But anyway, I was out and about, so this is the first time getting back to even discuss this stuff, right? But at the end of the day, this is not a good look. Not a good look at all. One second, I'm trying to pull up some stuff. We got to talk about it, people. You know, this changes things dramatically, and I'll explain why in 1 second. Look. Sources: Miller set to face Anthony Joshua fails a drug test. Heavyweight contender Jarrell Big Baby Miller has tested positive for the banned substance GW1516, right? And it says ahead of his scheduled challenge of unified world title, Anthony Joshua title holder. Three sources with knowledge of the results told ESPN on Tuesday night the fight is due to take place, etc. The test results, which came to light Tuesday, were from a random voluntary VADA conducted urine test Miller submitted on March 20th. Ironically, Miller accused Joshua of using PEDs during their press tour when the fight was announced. Crazy. This is crazy. You know, I want to give my thoughts. So the test is official. When I was making the video, like driving home, it was still in the sources stage, but you guys seen everyone's talking about it. You've seen even Eddie Hearns is acknowledging it and he's confirming it. So now at least we have confirmation that he has failed for this drug and test in question. Now, me personally, I wasn't really well versed with this G14 classified or whatever it is, but I did look it up, you know, and bottom line, the fight's gonna get canceled, in my honest opinion. This is not what I'm wishing, but from my experience, this fight is no longer gonna be going on. Because I was doing some research. I used to be real big into like reading up on fitness and workouts and just different stuff like that, you know, Arnold. Yeah, what are you doing, Gillian? Copenhagen. Get these people in, get to the chopper. You know, and I was real big on that. And you see and hear different stories about bodybuilders and the supplements that they use and stuff, the illegal stuff. And just to keep it very, to keep it a stack, the substances with bol or ol, like, the OL, lol, LOL, OL, or BOL at the end, usually is the hardcore shit. Clenbuterol, stanozol, or the bols, like the things with, bol in the name, like Turnabol, these different things. These are like the hardcore shit. Like I said, clenbuterol, Turnabol, stanozol, and this one, I was reading up on it because I wasn't familiar with this. They got so many different things. They said it's for the responsiveness of your heart and cardiovascular. Basically, it sounds like some EPO-ish type shit. Look, it says right here. In 2007, research was published showing high doses of this. This is a clinical name. It has multiple names, but you see GW1516 is one of them. So, these are drugs. It's just like, angel dust and PCP and Sherm. Remember on the movie Training Day where he's like, I didn't know you like to get wet though. Sherm, dust, PCP, Primos, Old Dog, Butt Naked, Sherm. This is what you had. There's just different street names. So one of them, these are all the like different names. But again, as you see, it says sold on the black market as Endurable. I told you that BOL or OL at the end, LOL, usually spells trouble. But anyway, I didn't know much about this. It's supposed to be for cardiovascular diseases and help people, with heart conditions and stuff. But as you see, in 2007, research was published showing high doses of this, I'm gonna call it G14 classified because I'm not gonna say all these numbers, given to mice dramatically improved their physical performance. The work was widely discussed in popular media and led to the black market for the drug candidate and its abuse by athletes as a doping agent. VADA developed a test for the GW and other related chemicals and added them to the prohibited list in 2009. So this is not like a new drug. They've known about it as far as 2009 when they banned it. So this is a 10-year ban. This is something that's been banned for a decade. It has additional warnings. It has additional warnings to athletes that this is not safe. So, performance enhancing drug. Concerns were raised prior to the 2008 Beijing Olympics that this GW could be used by athletes as a PED that was not currently controlled by regulations or detecting by the standard test. So basically, this is not picked up on certain tests, but through VADA testing, that's a little bit more intricate than maybe the commission test or just the basic Olympic test. So this is something that is harder to screen for unless you're looking for it. That's how a lot of PEDs are. Even STDs. Doctor has to, like, if you ever had an STD test, they say, hey, you want to check for herpes, AIDS. They got to check for these different things. They don't just, do one test and it just looks for everything possibly out there. You know what I'm saying? So anyway, my experience, this is not a good look. Jarrell Big Baby Miller, that's my guy. I would be curious to hear his story, but it's not looking good. It's not looking good for this fight. You got to look at it. This was the opportunity at a title. This is an undefeated fighter, and this was the biggest opportunity for him. And this doesn't seem like something that could easily be justified or even dated back to. It's like you look at TJ Dillashaw. They said he was on EPO. That's injectable. You don't come across that from contaminated meat. There's not these well-documented cases of cattle being shot up with injected with EPO. You get what I'm saying? So that's why they gave him the max 2-year ban in the UFC. For Jarrell Miller, again, I don't know everything about this, but it looks like they have extensive research on it. And it's, been classified as a PED since 2009. And they're saying there are concerns athletes were using this combination, this component in the Olympics, the 2008 Beijing Olympics, different countries, and they weren't testing for it. So this was raising concerns and whatnot. So this, like I told you, in general, rule of thumb, best practices, the shit with BOL, LOL, or OL at the end usually is not bad. Like Ray Beltran, like just the turnaboles and stanozol, Zolol, clenbuterol, all these things in general, they're not good, you know what I'm saying, in terms of excusable. Clenbuterol, the only thing Canelo had going for him is he trains in Mexico, where there have been documented cases of meat, but I don't know if something like this, they're feeding livestock, this GW501516, stuff like that. So I don't know. Bottom line, I think if I had to take an educated guess, the fight's getting canceled. Joshua's still gonna fight on that date, and DAZN is screwed, because who is Joshua gonna fight? Dillian White might step up to the occasion, but Joshua's in training camp. This is a major hit, major hit for DAZN and Anthony Joshua, because they just raised the price. This is one of their biggest fights. It was coming on the heels of Canelo versus Jacobs, which to me, I don't think they've even really been promoting it effectively. Like little Tracy Morgan commercials aren't really cutting it, although I do think it'll be a good fight. And then you had Joshua to kind of like piggyback off of the Canelo Jacobs, so that was at least two in a small space of time, moderate to big fights. And then now it looks like, from, like I said, my educated guess, I'm not educated guess, the failed drug test, they have the dates and everything, March 20th, there is an adverse finding. So there's, like I said, I want to hear what Jarrell Big Baby Miller says. He can have his B sample tested, but usually the athlete has to pay for that, because they're not just trying to do this test and then waste resources and waste money. So to my knowledge, most of the time the athlete has to pay for it. So if you did something or had something in your system, who's gonna pay to have the B sample opened and tested if So I don't know. This is just crazy. But definitely a hit for DAZN, definitely a hit for Anthony Joshua, and more importantly, it's a hit for Jarrell Big Baby Miller, because this was an opportunity to live and beat Joshua. Look, fans was hitting me up. This was an opportunity to challenge for all them titles, all them belts. You waited for this moment, and now even the Joshua the fans and stuff, people tend to have this Joshua versus Wilder kind of beef, like, oh, I'm a Joshua fan or I'm a Wilder fan. Wilder went through this multiple times where people kept failing PED tests. Povetkin, the Polish fighter Andrzej Wawłowski, and then also Luis Ortiz, who was later cleared with he didn't go through the right protocol, but he was later cleared, and then Wilder fought him and knocked him out. But that was like 3 times, and some of the Joshua fans at the time, I seen them, they were saying stuff like, oh, Wilder's resume sucks. See, it's not funny when it happens to you, because you can't really control what your opponent is doing. So Joshua, I don't know who he's gonna fight. But on the flip side, I will say this, not that this happened is not AJ's fault, but what is AJ's fault and what is Eddie Hearns' fault is I think they played games and should have been fought Deontay Wilder. They should have, Jarrell Miller, I told you, there was other people, like Dillian White had a bigger 2018 to me. So why didn't he get the fight, and then we wouldn't even have to worry about this, because that was supposed to be the front runner. But you didn't want to pay Dillian White what he was worth. You didn't want to offer anything to Luis Ortiz, despite Anthony Joshua calling him out and saying he wanted to fight Luis Ortiz, right? And you didn't fight Wilder. So I know they can't control something like this from happening, but I do think they stalled out other fights that were easy to make, or just as easy to make, or they should have, pressed for ahead of Jarrell Miller, and we wouldn't even have to have worried about this particular fight. But, for Jarrell Miller, I want to see what he has to say, because, he's losing most likely a title opportunity. People are going to say, oh, this is how you were 317 pounds and throwing so many punches. It's just not a good look. So, the whole situation is just, unless they know something I don't, or they do a B sample and it comes back inconclusive or something like that, this is not a good situation, because they're saying X amount of tickets already sold and this sold a pre-sale record. So they sold a pre-sale record for this particular fight, and like I said, I kind of blame Eddie Hearn for not because someone failed a drug test, and I kind of blame Team Joshua not because someone failed a drug test, but because they stalled out these other fights that fans were requesting and beckoning. Dillian White and Luis Ortiz both have failed a drug test in the past, as well as Jarrell Miller. He failed a drug test in the past, and they all had different reasons. You guys can look up those individual instances, but Dillian White's been clean since. Luis Ortiz hasn't had any run-ins since, things like that. So they know that they already have, shit that happened in the past. So hopefully they'd be on the up and up. So far, so good for Dillian White. So this is a major setback for Jarrell Miller. But like I said, Eddie Hearn was saying, oh, we didn't go with Luis Ortiz. He just did an interview at the Corolla fight, Lomachenko Corolla, and he specifically said, oh yeah, we presented Luis King Kong Ortiz versus AJ, and we presented AJ versus Jarrell Big Baby Miller. And guess what? The zone wanted Jarrell Miller. That's what he said. They said, oh, he's a New Yorker, he's brash, the fight's in New York, he's a trash talker from New York. That's the fight we want. So it's kind of DAZN's fault. It's kind of Eddie Hearn and Team Joshua's fault, because if they would have listened to the fans, then there was a couple fights that were probably ahead of this that should have happened. Fans want to see Wilder, Tyson Fury, Luis Ortiz, or even Dillian White, probably ahead of this, which is what new media has been saying from the beginning. So this whole thing is a mess. We'll wait to see what Jarrell Miller has to say, but it's not looking so hot. It's not looking so hot at all. I haven't really heard anything from Anthony Joshua to see his thoughts, but this is a mess. Especially, like I said, DAZN raised their prices, and I literally, I don't know, maybe I'm psychic. I literally said something to the effect of, I said one of the things you got to worry about with, I guess when it comes to DAZN is for DAZN. See, it was the Drake curse. I told y'all about that too, bro. It's the Drake curse. See, y'all don't be listening. I told y'all about the Drake curse. I really made a video and we was talking about this. But anyway, another thing I said, new media, is this. AJ, man, this whole thing is crazy, bro. This whole thing is just insane. All this could have been avoided. And I told you, I said stuff like this is what happens when you stall out. One of these guys is bound to lose. Some big event gets fucked up like this. I literally said that. I said this is one of the things with DAZN, with them going super like a starting six and going heavy with the pay scale on individuals and individual events. Then you're like riding, it's like all your eggs in one basket. I told you guys this. So you have to kind of live and die by the sword. So you taking a big gamble. Whereas like, let's say Al Hammond, he has Mikey Garcia, but he has a slew of other fighters. So even though Mikey Garcia, he didn't look so hot in his last fight and he got dominated, there's other fighters that could be pushed. It's not like everything, the whole success of PBC was contingent on Mikey Garcia winning every fight. But that's how it's kind of set up with DAZN. The fights that are causing the biggest attraction with DAZN are their starting people. Triple G's fighting a horrible fight with Steve Rolls, so we can't really count that as something that's we can expect a lot of traction from fans, right? And then you have Canelo. He's in a dangerous fight. What if he loses to Jacobs? You got all this money, $365 million tied up into Canelo by himself. What if he takes a bad loss? What if he gets knocked out? You have to keep paying him all these crazy paychecks. You paying Golovkin $15, $22 million to fight Steve Rolls. You have AJ, his America debut, and now it's potentially fucked up because of the Drake curse. And Jarrell Miller failed a drug test. So that's what I'm saying. So now you're gonna have to pay Joshua whatever you promised him. Let's say 38, 40, because they said he was gonna make bucks for this. 40 million. What if he has to fight Kubrat Pulev or, somebody like that? And this is the problem, because Al Heyman could work with these guys, but he can send his fighter if he wants. He could screw him too. He could say, nah, Andy Ruiz Jr. ain't going over there. Nah, Adam Kownacki is not going over there. Nah, Luis Ortiz ain't going over there. Nah, Deontay Wilder already has a fight with Dominic Breazeale. You know what I'm saying? So I'm wondering how they're gonna get out of this. Who they're gonna fight? Because I'm really trying to think. Who they're gonna fight? They're not gonna put I can't imagine. And Al Heyman has Joe Joyce, Adam Kownacki. He has Wilder, Breazeale, who are already fighting, Luis Ortiz. You get what I'm saying? Charles Martin, and AJ already beat Charles Martin. He got all these guys, so Al Heyman don't have to surrender him if he doesn't want to. I don't know if they're gonna even reach out to him. I'm just saying, Tyson Fury with Top Rank has his own business with Tom Schwartz, so we know that's probably not gonna happen. Top Rank, are they gonna surrender Oscar Rivas? Is that going to generate a good crowd? AJ versus Oscar Rivas. We've already seen AJ versus Breazeale. He's already fighting. We already seen AJ tack him. No one wants to see AJ versus Chisora. Who are they going to get? Maybe Dillian White. Maybe Luis Ortiz if he can make weight and not make weight, but just if he wants to take it. And, this is kind of what they put themselves in this position by stalling out other fights. I'm telling you, and it's crazy. But I remember I specifically said stuff like this: when you have all the money tied up in, just a handful of guys, and then I said, what if someone fails? I literally said, what if Canelo or somebody fails a drug test? Then what are you gonna do? If Canelo failed a drug test with the Jacobs, then that was that's the best fight you ever had, Or in this situation, I know for a fact I said that, and I know my day ones can vouch for me. You know what I'm saying? On the channel, this is what happens, because it's like all your eggs are in one basket. Your biggest events are clearly, we've been saying this, Canelo and Jacobs, and then Joshua Miller was probably second. And then now the card's in limbo. And I don't know if they're going to push this through. And even if they do push it through some kind of way, which to me, based on what he tested positive for, I don't think this is not something. They said it's dangerous in the article. This is not something I think you can really justify or excuse. They have this particular ingredient in common over-the-counter GNC products. So I don't think there's really getting around that type of thing. You know what I'm saying? So I really think the fight's gonna get canceled. But even if they don't, this fight is gonna be tainted. People gonna pay $20 a month, for this fight if they feel it's not on the up and up. You've seen what happened. Canelo Triple G 1 versus 2, based on all the drama that happened from the first fight to Canelo failing with the clenbuterol. The second fight did worse than the first fight. Typically, you don't see that when it's a rematch with controversy. But I think people were just kind of over it, oh man, Canelo cheated. He was on drugs, and that's what Triple G was saying, needle marks and stuff, and the back and forth and not doing face off. So people are like, whatever. So even if somehow they push through this fight, I feel like people are going to feel it has an asterisk behind it. Very interesting situation to see exactly how they plan to, deal with this. Who they plan to get in the ring with AJ. Because Eddie Hearns said he's keeping the date, and I'm sure he has obligations to MSG. They're expecting something, and this is what I'm talking about. PBC, Tank Davis, he was about to fight Abner Mares. That was a pretty big fight for this year. It was a step up in competition, a good resume name for Tank Davis, and motherfuckers was making fun of it. Abner Mares had a detached retina, and you're like, aha, Tank's fighting Hugo Ruiz. But the difference being, Tank's already won. Drake still showed up to the Tank Davis fight, and Birdman and all these people, and now Tank's already gonna go and fight in Baltimore this summer. Get a homecoming fight. We'll see what Joshua and Eddie Hearn come up with. Drop your thoughts in the comment section. Very terrible news for just boxing. Anybody anticipating the fight, bad for Jarrell Big Baby Miller, you know, unless he can somehow explain himself or his B sample is different. You know, it's bad for AJ because people are going to look at it like, yo, we told you, you should have fought Luis Ortiz, you should have fought Wilder, you know, should have fought Dillian White. You chose this, and then now you're stuck with the guy who can't get cleared to fight. And the thing is, another reason why I think it's getting canceled, because New York State Athletic Commission is strict. They didn't even want to let Sergio Martinez wear a knee brace. He was coming off of a known documented injury and long layoff, you know. And in the Cotto fight, which was in New York, because that's Cotto's second home, they didn't even want to let him wear a knee brace. So I can't imagine they would allow for this fight. Even like, you know how people were saying Wilder was hurt in the 7th round with Luis Ortiz, and the doctors were taking a look at it and eyes and flashlights and stuff. That's because they got New York in the Magomed Abdussalamov fight, heavyweight fight with Mike Perez. They end up getting sued because he was permanently like, he's never going to be the same because of the punishment he took in that fight. So they got sued and lost a lot of money. So for boxing and combat sports, New York State Athletic Commission got even stricter than they've already been known to be, you know. So I can't imagine this fight really getting pushed through. But that's just my, you know, professional assessment from seeing stuff like this. Unless somehow this wasn't in his system, or if it's like goes away some kind of way. I just don't see it. The only time I've seen something kind of similar was Orlando Salido versus Francisco Vargas. Vargas tested positive, I think, and then he used the "I ate the meat" excuse. But, you know, I don't know. We'll have to see. I don't know what Jarrell Miller could say. Oh, I was in Brooklyn, I ate the meat. You know, we'll see though. Let me know what you guys think. Bad news. Drop your thoughts in the comment section. Make sure you smash the like button. As always, hate, comment, and subscribe. Till next video is Ego signing off. So if you enjoyed this video and want more content like this on the channel, you can show your appreciation by going to the PayPal donate button or the YouTube support button. And you can donate any amount that you feel is equivalent to the value of this video. Much more to come. Thank you guys for your support. Boxing Ego, the future of boxing.